But the thing is, when you go up against Serral, you know, that can all be swiftly pushed aside. Anyhow, spawning over in the bottom left-hand side to start this off as the blue Terran play for Team Mousesports, it is HeRoMaRinE.
Top right-hand side of the map, it is. And says Serral.
The rifts were especially long this time.
Yeah, they were.
Like both of them too. Normally it's like one guy gets a long one guy gets a short one, but no, this time it was like, yeah, we're just gonna eliminate Cats and Ben talking.
Yeah, that's how I felt as well. All right, well, the map is Jagannath. Ben, actually, that's how someone on Reddit was proposing it should be pronounced. But it's a good map for Zerg, in my opinion. Would you disagree?
I would not disagree with you, Cats. Like, just looking at it, and you know, whenever you see a map where on the map you see the little bars for the like black screens beside it, that kind of implies to me that it's pretty down below, you know? Which in my Terran heart and head, I'm like, yeah, that means it's going to be quite a long time before any of my harass hits the other side, and that definitely puts a spanner in the works a little bit. By the way, Big Gabe, like, just sorry to interrupt a little bit. He's actually going for reactor first on his barracks here. So this is already quite unusual from the Terran.
Yes, indeed. And he's going to be banking up gas where he could go something weird like 2 Reapers. More likely, I guess, a factory is to follow and a couple of Marines. There it is.
I'm more thinking 2 Marines to maybe snipe an Overlord, because the amount of spots that an Overlord could be. Oh, Serral's very safe by just polonking it there. Okay.
Yeah, that is the thing, right? This closer spot for the Overlord can actually be spotted. That's one of the features of Jagannatha. This closer Overlord spot at the natural base can actually be spotted from the high ground with a unit that has enough range. I believe the Marines do have enough range of vision. Not by SCVs, however.
I like that you said it's pronounced Jagannath, by the way, and then a moment later you're like Jagannatha.
I was trying to make a conscious effort to do it well. Then I am gonna be saying Jagannatha, but yeah, I just wanted the guy from Reddit to feel like his thread was impactful, because it was. You know, it had me thinking about Jagannath.
At least you know it was there for a moment. Okay, like
yeah.
Oh, so I'm starting to think that Big Gabe's just kind of doing a Hellbat variation. Like he's still producing Marines right off the single barracks, and now he's going for reacted Hellions. One thing he doesn't want to do is give this away.
Yeah, and I feel like we haven't talked too much about the players, but is this a Big Gabe special? Is this a thing that you would expect from him?
No, actually, not at all.
Awesome.
It's super awesome. I've been seeing a hell of a lot of TVP from him recently. He complains about it on the ladder. But against Zergs, he's actually been pretty good at mixing up his builds recently. And yeah, we do see that armory on the way. We actually have Overlord speed as well, which will finish, and he will get the scout off. But is that necessarily what you want to be doing against like a Hellbat build? I'm not entirely sure. Seeing this amount of Marines will have given it away. And I mean, if he loses that Overlord while investing in the Overlord speed, which
no, the Marine didn't have
one health.
No, but Big Gabe had it, and the Marines that stopped up unloading. I think he must have pressed S on the medevac for them to not unload, but that next Marine unloading would have done it.
Okay. So Serral, I mean, what is this reaction here? He's getting down a spine crawler. He's building a Baneling nest. He's building as many queens, as many lings as possible. But Big Gabe, he's arriving right now.
Yeah, and he's huge. All right, let's see what Serral's able to do here. The spine doesn't stand much of a chance. The queens do not have energy for transfuse. Serral is too good at creep spreading, unfortunately for him. And Big Gabe with a very strong attack, but the medevac will get taken down right away, Ben, as the rest of the units try and do what they can. The queens nicely spread out, though 2 will fall quickly. And now Big Gabe has an option to go for the queens or the rest of the drones. He's gonna choose the queens. He thinks he can do more damage. Serral pulling drones, helping the damage of Big Gabe. Only 4 go down in the end. And yeah, the GOAT has goated it.
Wow. I like, you know, whenever I see drones pulled against Hellbats, I'm always like, okay, this is it, it's going down. But he let them soak up 1 hit from the Hellbats and then ran back So, I mean, it was perfect execution by him. Big Gabe, he actually made me sweat for Serral's sake pretty damn hard. Was this an all-in? I mean, it was definitely an aggressive opener, but SCV-wise, he's actually on pretty equal count with Serral. He's also going for, like, double Liberator harass very soon. The Hellions getting in here as well at the third base. This is great for Big Gabe.
Yeah, not too bad at all. This Liberator will be dealt with swiftly by the perfection of Serral, but 7 drones on the other side. That's not too bad. That's not too bad, Ben.
No, certainly not. And yeah, behind all this, he's getting a third base. I like the fact that Serral's already got armor upgrading on the way. Is it only 1 Evo? Okay, it is only 1 Evo, but like that's definitely the better upgrade to get, unless you're against mech. But yeah, this is definitely not the way I expected this game to start off. And I tell you what, it's so good for Gabe's confidence level that he managed to actually get a lot of this economy down.
Yeah, I think this would be better for Serral, or it would be all right for Serral had it not been for the fact that he invested into the Overlord speed, like you were pointing out, and still took some damage, right? So Gabe with a very strong opener, and what I love the most about this, Ben, it's that, like you said, I mean, the reason I asked is because maybe I missed something, but this is not a very Gabe-like opening. And it is one of the things that I would have in the past criticized Gabe a little bit for, is just playing to his rule book a little bit too hard, right? Something that Serral used to do a couple of years ago, maybe, or a year and a half, and he has been evolving. Maybe the inconsistencies of Big Gabe are part of his evolution, right? Maybe he's tinkering with these other styles and other builds that I think in time, if not already now, will make him a much more dangerous opponent for anyone.
Yeah, certainly. It's got to be said, though, that second Liberator didn't get what he wanted it to get done. And this this next squad of 6 Hellions, so how many Hellions did he produce overall? Something like 12, maybe 14-ish. They wanted to get a lot more damage done, which, again, haven't been able to. So Serral, even though it was kind of scary at the start, he's done everything correct in shutting down the second and third waves of Big Gabe. So this game definitely equalizes itself out.
Yeah, and we were talking about, for example, in the Denver match against Clem, how maybe his creep spread wasn't even throughout. Look at Serral's creep spread, right? He's really fanning out that creep spread everywhere. It's going to be so difficult for Gabe to find openings. And like you said, that is a heavy investment into those Hellions. And Serral, cheeky boy, he's going to go for Baneling drops.
You know what? I love that by him, but I also hate it for Big Gabe. Like, this... Because Gabe, by the looks of it, he's going to go for the same build that Clem went for in Game 5 against Denver, where you continuously make tanks. These next 3 barracks, and this is kind of a Big Gabe special, these next 3 racks are going to be add-on-less, and he's just going to push as hard as he can across the map. And, you know, you pretty much F2 everything you possibly have, because it's a big all-in, and this Baneling drop could really, really, really hurt Gabe.
Yeah, at the same time, it's not very Gabe-like to go for this all-in, and Serral moving in as Gabe has to control his army. He's gonna get indeed a lot of workers. 11 go down then.
And what great use of that Overlord speed from earlier on, right? Like, just utilizing everything he can. Serral, this is his 5th base, by the way. He's got his 4th up and running. He's on 79 workers against 58. And here we're going to see what Gabe's actually going for. It is the add-on-less barrack, so exactly what we thought he was going to be doing. And, you know, given that Serral slowed it down quite a chunk there, and he's also got really good creep spread, Gabe's in trouble.
Yeah, look at Serral. You were saying it, Ben. I mean, he will use every tool that he has. Oh, I made an Overlord that can drop. Might as well drop again. And there's some surgings there that Big Gabe is going to have to deal with. Not too successful this time around as Gabe is preparing for his big all-in. This area is so dangerous. One of the reasons why I think this map is kind of Sergy is those acceleration zones. They heavily favor Serg as you kind of just attack move from every which angle, whereas Terran has to micro each individual unit backwards. Those acceleration zones are not going to pan out well for Gabe, and Serral will pan out. Oh! Actually, Gabe is actually doing it, Ben.
Yes.
Temporarily.
Fly block, but that's a lot of Banelings, and those SCVs there running on home. Can't get the depot up because the SCVs went on top of him. Tries to distract with a few SCVs, but oh my goodness. That's a lot of economic damage done. Big Gabe. Oh my god, a Baneling drop in the 3rd as well. Oh no!
Oh! How does he manage to do that? Oh my god, and now Gabe completely all in. It's now or never, and that is why Serral was pulling back. I think he might have been able to crush this attack earlier, but instead he's gonna... Oh, look at Gabe, so smart! Away from the acceleration zones he goes, but it's not gonna matter, and he's gonna have to tap out to the ghost.
Holy crap. I mean, some of the things that Serral does while defending, such as all that aggression, because you know a lot of people can be like, oh yeah, Serral's this way. But the thing is, Serral is so all-round with everything. Like, he's actually very good at making you feel very uncomfortable. So very often it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, right? He throws you off your plan so well by doing the exact things that you don't want to be doing. And I think he's just so good at reading the game. But also, Big Gabe, even though that was a lovely build by him, because I haven't seen him do that actually very often, the follow-up with the 8 racks and like the 3 naked racks at the end there, that is something that he pulls out kind of when he feels a little bit desperate, I feel. And it's something that he resorts back to. But if you play against somebody like Serral, they're just too good at reading it and seeing it and just shutting it down.
Yeah, that is just the thing about Serral is that, you know, we try, oh, what was the option then, Ben? Is there an option? Like, Serral is just so good at everything at this point in time. You know, like before, again, we talked about a macro beast in the same sense that we talk about Big Game and will they be able to crack through Serral before he gets to the late game? Well, now Serral is the type of player that will crack through you sometimes, and that will be applying that pressure and mixing in things like baneling drops. Like, it's not particularly powerful, in my opinion, against Terran, but it's powerful because it doesn't get done. So the fact that he has the presence of mind to bring in builds and strategies and tactics that are off the mind of his opponents, and that he can just do it every which way, that's what makes Serral the scariest Serral that we've ever seen, I think.
He's just so good at divvying up his units, honestly. Like, I think the only mistake there was a small supply block because he was utilizing the Overlords to deal the damage kind of thing. But yeah, besides that, he just did everything beautifully. And I mean, Gabe at the end there, he was on 34 SCVs while doing a 3-base all-in. I mean, it's not the kind of situation you want to find yourself, but now we have Oxide. So this was Big Gabe's pick. We can't forget that. Jagannath, as you called it, was Serral's pick. And I mean, it is a pretty damn good Zerg map, let's be real.
Yeah, absolutely. On this map, there are those very annoying rocks. We'll get into that in just a second. Let's introduce the players first. In the bottom left-hand side, he is humongous. He is Gabe. Aim for mouth.
And one of the absolute greatest of all time, playing for Team Ents, it is Serral. Oh, you know, if you're Gabe and you're like, okay, I got away with that, like, didn't kill the Overlord at the start, but did a little bit of damage, and, you know, my build kind of got shut down that hard afterwards. It's definitely a little bit of a wounder, because no matter how your prep goes, no matter how, like, often you beat, you know, a laser 3-0 or whatever, which happened yesterday, or the day before, I do believe, Serral's just a different beast entirely, man.
Yeah. He is the most different beast of all, I would say, and to your point, though, Ben, if that Overlord dies, I mean, we don't know whether that actually makes an impact in the defense of Serral. I would say that it does, no matter what. Maybe he loses a little bit more, right, to that follow-up attack. And so things almost went much better for Gabe, and I love that he's trying different approaches and kind of mixing things up himself. I think that you kind of have to be a little bit unpredictable against Serral.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This game, he's opting for Marine first and not Reaper. So again, this is cool. You may be watching this at home being like, oh, these aren't much different. No, they're really different openings. Like Reactor first, the last game, now Marine into Reactor. Like, so he's skipping corners here because here, if you don't scout with an SCV, you don't scout with a Reaper, you are blind as a bat. And look at this, second barracks going up. So this is, it's a 2-1-1 without a Reaper scout. Like, this is as greedy as a build you can do.
All right. Do you think it's gonna hit by something like 5 minutes and like 10 seconds or something, or earlier? Is it how much faster can you get things with this setup, you think?
So it's 50 gas faster, cats. Like, that's about all I can say.
Right, yeah. That's that.
Given
That's
that you don't get
good.
a Reaper. But
yeah.
But like I have seen Gabe do a few of these builds where he kind of switches around the add-ons and he'll put like the factory on the reactor instead, and then he'll do like a Hellbat attack with it and like a fast third. So just because you see this and you're like, oh, this is a 2-on-1, right? Which it kind of is. It can still, like, Terrans are evolving with their builds day in, day out.
Yeah. For me, I personally, when there's no Reaper, I am very greedy. I tend to skip the links. Serral, however, playing as the overdog, let's say, he's scouting everywhere, and he made up to 4 Zerglings right away. So this works wonders for Gabe, right? Because he's done the same damage. The links are really there to fend off the Reaper. There's no Reaper. The links were still made. Big wins for Big Gabe.
Wait, you skip the 4 initial links if there's no Reaper?
Hells yeah. What do you need them for?
Don't you have to like make them beforehand, like in case the Reaper shows up?
I drone scout pretty early usually, so I guess.
Aha, cat special, cat special.
There's usually a hatchery on the other side too, so you know. But yeah,
of course.
Like, yeah, if there's no Reaper out on the map, you don't need the links. I guess you could make like 2 maybe by default, but yeah, you're right. It's for most circs it will be difficult to make that decision, so I suppose it's always a loss.
So this actually is like just a 2-1-1 by the looks of it. So he's getting 3 Marines at a time. You know, I've seen a few of these builds recently where they kind of switch into like a very fast third behind it. So, okay, this Ling scouting 3 Marines here. For Serral, he's either like, and he's seen no Hellions, by the way. Normally defend that with Hellions. Okay, he puts down a Roach Warren immediately. So he sniffs something is a little bit weird here, which is good because it means the game doesn't immediately end. But I'm still curious what Gabe's doing because this build went out of fashion years ago. It has to have a special follow-up with it.
I mean, like you were saying earlier, though, it's going to be much quicker. Remember, Stim is also quicker to research these days than it was before, though that's not going to make a huge difference as it's already finishing. And yeah, the creep threat for Serral is good. Another thing that this could do for Gabe is just gain him enough map control to go for something like a follow-up tank push, where Serral's not going to have the time and space to deal with a lot of those rocks. And yeah, let's see what it accomplishes. I mean, it's going to hit extremely fast. Serral with 5 roaches in production, and oh, that's a lot of queens, actually. With those roaches, I think he should have it, but can Gabe capitalize before that?
There's no combat shield, there's no +1 for Gabe, and I mean, this concave that's ready with the queens, I think they almost can deal with it without the Zerglings. Then there's the Zerglings and the roaches as well. Transfusions do keep the queens alive, but so far, wave 1 thwarted pretty easily. And I you know, if you run into that amount of queens, you know, you're not going to be able to deal damage, but behind this, Serral's getting drones. Gabe, on the other hand, getting the 3rd base, getting the tank follow-up, and then getting a very late 3rd. This is going to be very hard to scout for Serral, so he doesn't necessarily know what he's up against, but I think he's greeted beautifully while being very safe at the same time.
Yeah, and this is what I like about Gabe's opener. Not so much of the kill potential. Certainly against a lesser player, you will have that kill potential available, and Serral did make a lot of units, which is not too bad for Gabe at all, delaying Serral's upgrades as well. But just the fact that he can be out on the map right now very comfortably, he can clear creep very comfortably, and then prepare for a tank push that takes advantage of the physiology of this map with those rocks, right? Like those tanks sitting behind those rocks, that's where it could get complicated for Serral. So I like the 1-2 punch from Gabe here.
Yeah, 3 full medevacs of Marines. This could definitely be a bit scary. +1 is very close to finishing as well. And it's kind of hard for Serral to be everywhere because he's got this big group of queens and roaches. Oh, but he does drop in onto a group of lings, which group of lings definitely buy time, which is a big deal. Oh, and the roaches do show up in big numbers here.
Yeah, they buy time, and they also kill a few Marines as they are unloading. So, you know, it's not ideal ever to drop onto units because you're not going to trade effectively or efficiently for a little while. And Gabe gets sorted for now, but again, I mean, Serral did make a ton of units that don't scale well in roaches. I'm not sure if he has a plan to move out soon, but yeah, I don't mind the position for Gabe. I think he's in a decent position with his tanks defensively or aggressively. I think I like it.
You think you like it?
I think so. Do you like it, Ben?
For Gabe, no, absolutely not. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, that potential 1-1 timing with the Roach Ravager kind of thing is going to be super scary. By the way, that's a 3rd Evo chamber going down. So I wonder if he's actually going to use it for plus melee. Oh my god, triple upgrades. That's awesome.
Love it, love it, love it. And Gabe is going to find a very important 4th base here before Serral can react. It's taken down. That is a great win for the German. And Ben, I like it. He has tanks. Serral has roaches.
Okay. I like it a little bit more now. I mean, oh, that's a weird 3rd to be taken.
Yeah, that's a very weird 3rd, especially against the roaches, right? Because the tanks can't cover both the natural and the 3rd as easily from this position.
Actually, you know, so this is obviously like a more defensive location. If you siege up where he sieged up, he actually does cover both the bases, unless those rocks are taken down on the far right. So Gabe kind of slowing down the game a bit, which, given that he is against roaches, kind of inefficient supply, that's definitely not too bad.
Okay. Yeah, I would have thought that the tanks between the or sieged at the natural could maybe cover some of the other third, but I guess very little space, right? There's a huge rock in between. So, all right, let's see what Gabe is able to do here. I mean, I like this setup. Yeah, I don't know how you break this with roaches, multiple tanks.
But is Serral actually... Serral's not going for that big timing. I mean, the fact that he kind of switched into a third Evo for upgrades, and he's getting Hive, he's getting Baneling speed, his work account's actually less than Big Gabe's right now. So I think Gabe read this super beautifully, actually. The fact that he feels he can slow the game down.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I think that he recognizes, wow, you've made so many roaches. Those are not going to scale well. I'm just going to sit back, maybe look to take a fourth, and he drops the fourth right in front of those tanks as well. So if Serral was to go for something like an all-in, sure, the fourth command center will die, but he will also soak up some roach shots, and he will be very close if it finishes to his next base. So once again, I really like the position for Gabe, though the lair is, or the hive is about to finish for Serral, and we'll see what he has planned from that. Maybe ultras?
Yeah. I'd imagine ultras, like switching into getting those melee upgrades and stuff, like Vipers thus far, unit of choice. I mean, that's good against the tanks, and yeah, the Ultralisk Cavern. It is so funny to me seeing all three of the Zerg upgrades going at once here, but I mean, like Serral, he hasn't had to worry about a big push, and I mean, maybe the position of that third kind of gave it away that he wasn't going to be getting pushed, but Gabe, he's actually got so many Marines, and he's going to continually deny this fifth base.
Very well done. Wow, just amazing by Gabe. He's going to drop a scan on the other side as well to clear creep, but not able to, as he is going to be hesitant since he doesn't see the army of Serral reacting here. So Gabe playing very, very safe as well. I think he understands he's in a decent position right now. He's about to secure his fourth base, and I mean, he's heading towards max. Now, the question is, what now, Ben? Because Serral still has an inefficient trade to make at some point in this game with those roaches. He's gonna have to throw away some of them. And here's the first attempt, I think.
This is so, like, non-committal by him. Like, I think he's okay if he wastes this army kind of thing.
Yep.
Because, yeah, he slowed down that base, he killed a couple of SCVs, and now he can remax on ultras. And that's exactly what he does. And I am scared for Gabe, because even though he slowed down the game, what's his Marauder count at? 0. So, 9 tanks, 10 tanks, 60 Marines, no Marauders whatsoever, and we're going to have Ultras coming out to the field. I don't think Gabe expects this at all.
I mean, he should, from just how inefficient that trade was for Serral, like, he should know that there's a transition inbound, because the trade from Serral was absolutely brilliant. It looks like the worst thing ever, but I mean, that army with that many roaches, it's just not gonna trade efficiently against the army of Big Gabe. So what Serral does instead is says, I'm gonna build an army that can trade efficiently at your army, even if that costs me a little bit of taxes in between. And here come the Ultras, and they are nasty. A good blinding cloud on top of those tanks as Big Gabe was getting ready to move out and perhaps punish an attack that is already here on the side of Serral. You said it, Ben. There's nothing good to deal with those tanks. Marines are not going to cut it. So with those Ultralisks, I suppose, not tanks. They're kind of tanky, though.
They certainly are tanky. But the blinding clouds are kind of worn out now, but a lot of the tanks did fall. The fourth base being repaired, but does eventually go down. Serral still at 180 supply. HeRoMaRinE, his forces are super dwindling. The Liberators come out just in time here, and he is kind of funneling these Ultras down little chokes, but oh my gosh, so many Lings. And remember, all these units are 2-2 upgraded as well, so it's not as if they suck.
Yeah, they definitely don't suck. And I like that Big Gabe was going for the Liberators, but a little bit late there to the party. Marauders now being added for army complexity, but yeah, Big Gabe, you were right, Ben. He did not see this coming. And I mean, he got caught even unsieged, right, in the worst possible moment. So Serral's going to take a lead now, I think.
I mean, it's supply-wise, it's definitely not bad for him. Whoa, is that a third factory coming up? I mean, the tank production from Big Gabe has been pretty wild, but he's definitely been reset tech-wise. The Liberators are looking to deal a little bit of damage. Those Ravagers just waiting for it to pause.
Yeah, there's only 2 of them, though. Oh, there's 3, never mind.
Perfect number, perfect number. By the way, the Viper usage from Serral, that fight was beautiful. Did you see that little choke? All the Marines couldn't fight at all, or the tanks couldn't fight either. This might be a bit ambitious, though. Oh, beautiful blinding cloud again.
Yeah, and I mean, HeRoMaRinE should not be clumping up right now, but hey, Serral overextends with the Viper with energy, and with that, HeRoMaRinE is going to be able to push this army back. A lot more Marauders now. Now Big Gabe is going to be able to trade far more efficiently against the army of Serral as he encroaches onto his 3-3 upgrades.
Yes, having Marauders in the mix and that snipe, you called it on the Viper, that was anticipating being able to get off at least one blinding cloud there, which would have helped a lot. But, you know, he did kind of fumble it. The Viper did die. This creep spread, though, even though this game's been rather mental, Serral's done a good job of just kind of enveloping the map.
Oh, yeah, he is so very good at that, but he's not finding space elsewhere. And the one thing for Big Gabe, though, is he's been contained on 4 bases. Serral already up to 6. It would be good for Gabe to find something else somehow. Either kill a base of Serral's that he was doing so well throughout the first half of this game, or take a 5th himself. But it's becoming increasingly more difficult. That's why he's getting some of those, what do you call these? The sensor towers, so that he can kind of secure areas and move more freely. But Serral's gonna find a beautiful entry into this base. Big Gabe's gonna have to evacuate, but those SCVs are all gonna fall to the banings. Most likely, actually, Serral ignoring the SCVs in favor of taking the engagement against the army, and it's gonna end up losing quite a bit. Big Gabriel!
Oh, wow, the Bile, or rather that army from behind, actually did quite well against the juicy Ravagers from behind. I mean, 9 SCVs do fall. Gabe's actually dropping in the top left as well, dealing counter-economic damage. So beautiful multitasking by the young Terran. The thing is, Serral has the money to throw away armies like this, and killing any SCVs at this point in time is just good damage.
Yeah, but that was only 9 SCVs. I feel like those Banelings by Serral could have detonated on the... Oh, no!
You're right. But
what? Look at that.
Look,
Look at that.
look at the overall work count, though, Cats. Like, it's 57 versus 83, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Every little dent. And does Big Gabe really want to be making SCVs at this point? I feel he needs to like push out. He needs to get damage done, but Serral's just shunting him down.
Yeah, he's gonna try doing exactly that. He's gonna go for that corner base, as the drop with no HP has managed to pull Serral somewhat back, at least with the Queens and some of his army, but now he's looking for a big surround out in the middle of the map. There is no creep here for Serral, so Big Gabe trying to hold the high ground, but you cannot underestimate those Banelings. Big Gabe might get surrounded here, and he calls GG.
Wow, what a game. I mean, Big Gabe, he looked like he had a chance at certain points, but Serral, he's just so good at reading the game, shutting things down, and getting to his comfort zone. And guys, we'll be heading to a short break. Do stay tuned.
Welcome back one more time. Serral leads 2-0 in an exciting series. I mean, it's kind of what we expect, right? It's Big Gabe showing just how strong of a player is and pushing Serral to his limits, but, you know, not quite reaching those limits yet then.
Yeah, I mean, going into a series, so far it's kind of going how I think people expected it to go. Like, because TVZ follows rules, right? Like, the Terran has to slow down the Zerg a bit, which we saw happen in the first game. The second game, though, HeRoMaRinE kind of played it a lot slower and was okay. Like, I know he opened up with the 2-on-1, but it didn't get damage done. Like, Serral's so good at deflecting. And then because he doesn't take damage, you're no longer playing a normal TVZ anymore. Like, you're playing a Terran versus Zerg where you have to do something so crazy, so out there that it either looks genius or stupid. And Serral's so fast and so mechanically gifted, but also so smart at realizing what you're doing. It's just going to be a really hard series for Gabe to come back in.
Yes, indeed. The man we are talking about is, of course, the GOAT, and he is a red Zerg on this map, Lightshade, and says Serral.
And spawning over the top left as the blue Terran, it is Mousesport's Big Gabe.
Yeah, with that said, Ben, I feel like what Gabe did was good because Serral did over-defend, but I see exactly what you're saying. It's very difficult because you're playing a different matchup, essentially, where you don't have that option to snowball, right?
Well, it's just so hard. Like, everything that you do normally against Zergs, they kind of fall and crumble. Then you're playing the game ahead. And then against Serral, it's like, oh, the first wave didn't work out. And then, obviously, given that there's going to be multiple waves of your aggression, it's like, it's always a different metric, a different level in which you're doing things. And Gabe, I'm actually loving the fact that he's bringing a lot of variety, a lot of things that I haven't seen him do on stream, because he knows that he streams a lot, so he knows he has to mix it up, and he's obviously prepped a bit. But it's so difficult to get that edge going against Serral.
Oh yeah, very cool overlord pathing here by Serral as well. Just making sure he's ticking all the boxes that he can. But yeah, I'm completely with you, Ben. At the same time, as a Zerg player watching that, right? Like, when I see Serral make that many roaches to defend the first attack, and, you know, the roach warren and the links that he made, etc., if that was me in his position, I'd feel like, oh my god, I just made so many roaches. Like it's, you know, it's a big investment as well. So that's why I like what Big Gabe did, is because, yeah, Serral defended, but it was an expensive defense too. So I didn't hate it for Big Gabe, even though he didn't manage to find the damage with the 2-on-1.
No, I mean, like, let's be fair to absolutely both of them. They're both very smart at what they do. Yeah. They're both very good. Like, while Serral is arguably the best in Europe, HeRoMaRinE absolutely isn't far behind, and Serral has to play his A game to take down HeRoMaRinE confidently. This is cool, by the way. We've seen multiple Zergs now on this map go for this forward third. So we'll see what Serral chooses to do with it. HeRoMaRinE, on the other hand, is playing far more standard this game. So he's gone for the Reaper, went for the SCB Scout as well, went for the Marine follow-up. So HeRoMaRinE, while he tried out some stuff, which I did really like from him, he's now resorting to the tried and true. Ooh, 3CC, I love it.
All right, so we're gonna have a classic greed from Gabe. I would still like to see something like a tank push or something like that on this map, just because it is so very short. But I don't know, how does that pan out, a short map for a macro game from the Terran perspective then?
I think it's okay. Like, he's probably gone into this this game in particular knowing where Serral sticks his overlords. So we've seen that the first overlord doesn't even pop in at all. Like, if we look at Serral's vision here, yeah, it just goes and finds a nice cliff to find out where the Hellions leave the base. But so far, he's not in the know at all. It's that second overlord that comes and wanders. And honestly, that main base is super huge. If you do have your Marine patrolling in the correct spot, normally you make a second one too, you can actually deny the scout entirely. That isn't going to happen, unfortunately, for Big Gabe, but getting the Overlord speed as well, like, it's not entirely necessary when you go 3CC. Honestly, I like the build choice by Big Gabe, like throwing two crazy, wacky, aggressive builds and then doing a wacky, greedy build in the next one. I just love that Big Gabe is going to either end of the spectrum within regards to how he's approaching StarCraft 2.
Yeah, I really like it. He's really mixing it up. Now, there's a Viking. I'm not sure that I like that against the Overlord speed, but Gabe is gonna follow up with a Liberator, so he's gonna basically clear path for the Liberator to kind of find his way to Serral's side of the map unspotted. So here's the Overlord that the Viking is inevitably gonna find, and it looks like he's still gonna get a kill. And like you were saying, Ben, I mean, not a great start for Serral, at least on paper, because he does invest into a defensive tech in Overlord speed that's not gonna pan out, and he scouts late enough that he doesn't really have an option to punish the 3CCs from Gabe either. So good start from the German. Let's see if he can continue to capitalize here.
Yeah, well, what's his Hellion count now? He's gone up to 6. He's obviously harassing with the Viking, which is nice. It's got an Overlord kill. Keeps the Overlords back as well. I guess one thing that Gabe has to keep in mind, though, is last time he played Overlord Speed against Serral, Bailing drops became a thing, right? So, and yeah, Serral's very smart about that. Oh, this Viking.
Land Viking. Ooh.
Yoink, yoink, yoink.
Nice. Oh, that's so sick.
Oh, and now he runs over with the Lings and the Hellions are there.
Hellions. All right, does manage to pick up the Viking, and hey, delays the 4th. The Viking is unfortunately gonna fall for Gabe. If he had been paying attention to those Hellions just a second earlier, maybe he gets some links and saves the Viking, but all in all, not too bad.
Yeah, definitely not too bad. These Hellions, I mean, it's going to be tough, but bringing the Queens over here, where's the Liberator? Okay, the Liberator is actually in the main base. I see it's getting shot immediately, and so far, no drones have fallen from it. Oh,
jeez. I mean, a little bit. Go on, Ben.
I like Big Gabe's plan. I like his play with the 3CC, and I mean, the Viking was cute. And actually, SEV count-wise, it's not too bad. Ooh, 2 Overlord drops getting prepared here. That's... okay, so Serral, like, he's really going to utilize that Overlord speed to great effect here. I love that follow-up, by the way. So even though we look at it and we're like, oh, was it actually necessary? Well, it serves a purpose later on in the game. And, you know, I just love that.
Yeah, and this is going to be nifty. I think Serral's going to look to cause a distraction in the main with the links and then hit the natural where there's an airspace behind it. So it's going to be very short time for Big Gabe to spot this 4 Banelings as they're going to head onto that natural in that Overlord from the south. So they are already morphed. The Overlord's going to pick him up, and Serral surely is going to wait for both Overlords to be in position to begin his attack. So that is a pretty cute one. Let's see. The Overlord is now moving towards the natural. Expect the Overlord near the main to drop those links soon to create confusion. And we'll see how much this Banelings get done. Wow, this is cool.
It's not even a transport Overlord, but it had Gabe worrying. It had Gabe worrying. I mean, now he's going to have real Overlords flying into his main base and his natural. This one he's reacting to very well, but it's Lings. It's Lings cats. Now, this one is the real one. Oh my God, Serral, you madman. Is Gabe going to react to this one?
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Oh, just a psychological clinic by Serral there, desensitizing his opponent to the Banelings and then using them when he least expects them. He's also gonna fend off this attack on the other side of the map. And my God, I mean, this man is just too smart, too good, too everything. Yeah, what do you do?
Oh, this is when I feel for Big Gabe. Losing 14 SCVs when you're trying to do a push, that really sucks. But he's absolutely still in it. His supply's still pretty damn good, actually, with slightly more army supply. The tanks got killed, though, so he's reset down to 2.
Yes, indeed. And let's see what Gabe is able to accomplish here. I mean, it's not looking too good for him, but he does have a large force out on the map. Serral's gonna go and try to cut some reinforcements with the group of links. And Gabe is a little bit spread on creep.
Oh my God!
No!
19 SCVs falling at that 3rd base. I mean, Gabe, he's pushing really hard on creep here.
He's had enough.
Oh, but Baneling speed with the Banelings. They're getting on top of the reeds. Nice micro by Big Gabe, but the supplies, Serral just needs to hold here. He's done, and he does. GG is called, and